This is episode 463 of Wheel Bearings. I am Sam Abuel-Samad from Telemetry.
And I am Nicole Wakelin.
And Robbie is in transit right now in New York from the airport to his hotel for some event or other. And his regular phone is not working because apparently T-Mobile is down, at least in the New York area. I don't know because I quit T-Mobile a few weeks ago and switched back to Verizon.
I heard it's a nationwide thing that depending, I heard some people on the West Coast complaining that they had their T-Mobile down. So I don't know, or maybe their numbers were East. I don't know. But anyway, it's a thing.
I had been on T-Mobile for like 12-ish years and got a notification from them a few weeks ago saying, you've been on your plan too long. We're going to retire that plan. We're going to move you to another plan that's going to be more expensive. And I said, no, thank you. And it turns out like the day before I had just seen a thing where Verizon was offering new plans for people switching over. If you bring your own phone and you're switching from another carrier, that saved me like $60 a month. And I said, I can do that.
Done.
So I went back to Verizon.
It's funny. It's on my to-do list to actually look at phones because I haven't checked in so long. I've been with AT&T forever. And I kind of thought, should I be still here? Is this the right plan for me? So it's on my to-do list of things that, as a grown-up, you think I should do that. And then you never do.
Yeah.
Until they do to me what T-Mobile just did to you. Nicole, your plan's going up. Bye.
So see ya, T-Mobile. Not sure what Robbie was driving, but he's going to join us in progress, probably in about 20 minutes or so, hopefully. But in the meantime, we were just talking before we started that, one of the people that does scheduling here in the Detroit area has been somewhat less than helpful of late. So I had nothing scheduled last week. So I drove my car for a week. I drove my 1990 Mazda Miata.
And how was your 1990 Mazda Miata, Sam?
It was fantastic. I love that little car. It is a great little car.
How much power does a 1990 Mazda Miata actually have? Do you know the specs on that?
The original spec for the 1.6-liter four-cylinder, naturally aspirated, with 5-speed manual transmission was 116 horsepower. That was 36 years ago.
So today,
well, I mean,
a little less, probably.
The previous owner did put a racing beat intake on there. So that might have added 2 or 3 horsepower to it. So it's probably still somewhere in that 110 to 115, 120 horsepower range. Which is to say, not much. But you know what?
You don't buy that because you want horsepower. You buy that because fun.
Yeah. The car only weighs just over 2,000 pounds. So, it doesn't really matter. It's a hoot to drive.
What color is your Miata?
It is technically white. So
white. Okay. Technically?
If you get to the paint, the paint is white. But it has a wrap on it right now. It has since before I bought it. One of these days I want to get that replaced. And so right now it's sort of a battleship gray, sort of silvery gray, like a darker gray color. And the wrap still looks great. It has actually held up really well for over 10 years now. But I want to get that stripped off and either get it repainted in Mariner blue, which is when they first launched the Miata in 1990, they had 3 colors. They had red, white, and this Mariner blue. And the Mariner blue is a great color.
I'm looking it up right this minute.
The other option is to find a wrap that is as close to that color as possible.
Oh, I love that color.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it's a fantastic color.
I love that.
Yeah. So, the car, it's a basic Miata. It doesn't have any ABS, doesn't have any traction control, doesn't have any fancy driver assist features. I actually have this T-shirt that is it's a drawing of the Miata, first generation Miata cockpit, and has all the driver assist features labeled. So there's, surround view, which is just literally looking around you. There's lane keeping assist pointing to the steering wheel. There's blind spot monitors pointing to the mirrors, that sort of thing. So it is all completely analog. Almost completely analog. It does have electronic fuel injection on the engine.
Is it manual? Did you say?
It's a 5-speed manual. Yes.
Okay.
The only way it should be.
Excellent.
And 2 seats. The top. You can. I don't have to get out or anything. I don't have to press any buttons. If I want to put the top up for some reason, which the only reason I ever put the top up is if I'm washing the car. The rest of the time, the top is down.
That is perfectly the right answer and the way it should be for a Miata.
Yeah. As soon as it's dry, put the top down, and it stays that way.
How cold will you drive it with the top still down? How cold outside?
About 40 degrees, because it's on summer tires.
Okay.
So so it's not even all season tires; it's summer tires.
So you can't really go less than that. Yeah.
Yeah. So 40 is about the minimum, and then at 40 with the heater on, it's actually quite comfortable to drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things when I have a convertible is to literally, if it's cold, if it's that, like, especially at night, put the top down, put a scarf on, put some gloves on, and go for a drive anyway when it's just a little bit too cold.
Yeah.
But it's perfect because you blast the heat and it's really kind of fun.
Yeah. I just, put a hat on, put a jacket on, some gloves and go. And, I have driven it, it's never been driven in winter. It's been in Michigan its entire history. I'm the third owner.
When did you buy it?
I bought it in 2017. So I've had it for about almost 9.5 years.
Okay, so you've had it for a while.
Yeah, I bought it from the guy who is actually now my boss. He was a friend and former coworker. Funny. We worked together at Ford years ago, and he owns the company that I work for now. He owns telemetry, and so he had bought it after he left Ford, and he had it for a few years, and then for inexplicable reasons, he decided to buy this 1969 Chevy C10 pickup that had a modified small block V8 in there. And at the time, they were living in a house with a 2-car garage. And his wife said, okay, my car goes on this side of the garage. You can have whatever you want on the other side of the garage. Anything else has got to go outside. And if you don't want to park it outside, it goes.
It's out.
And he knew that I wanted the Miata. And so he said, hey, do you still want to buy the Miata? And I looked over at my wife and said, can I buy the Miata? And she said, absolutely. And so
awesome.
The next day, we went to the bank, grabbed the cash, went over to Craig's house. I gave him the cash. He gave me the title, and I drove off and never looked back.
Boom, done.
Yeah. So, it is so much fun to drive.
I love the Miata. And you know what? It would be something that I would consider buying one day, except, well, maybe good or bad, depending on your point of view. Russ would never ride with me in it because it's just a little too tight for him at his height.
Yeah.
And it's not even his head, it's his legs. He doesn't have enough leg room. So his legs are bent. So one knee hits the center console and the other knee bunks against the door. So his knees are uncomfortable. He's like, the few times we had, he's like, I hate this car. I'm like, you're just going to have to hate it because I'm driving it or we're taking separate cars because it's so fun to drive. But if you're just the right height, like, and imagine Robbie might be a little on the tall side for it,
I think
too.
Robbie has said in the past that he's a little bit too tall for the Miata. And that is the one downside to the Miata. You're kind of, it's a small car, so you're limited in space, in terms of height, who can fit in it. I'm about 5'11". I'm like at the kind of the upper limit of somebody that'll fit comfortably in there.
Yeah. So you're 5'11" and you're fine. It's totally comfortable for you?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
So it fits me perfectly. Anybody much taller than that, or certainly, if you had longer legs, even if you were my height, but I'm long in the torso. If you were shorter in the torso, longer in the legs, you probably wouldn't be comfortable in the Miata.
Yeah, and that's it. Russ it's all his knees bunking onto the sides of the car itself. That it's not. He has plenty of headroom. Weirdly, it's just his legs.
Yeah, well, funny how that works when there's no top. You put the top down, have all the headroom in the world.
Well, if the top is up, even he can still on those rare occasions when you put the top up. But yeah. So, I love the Miata. Fun.
Yeah, so I had to go out to Michigan Speedway last week for a Ford event that you were supposed to be at.
I was supposed to be there, but we had weather, and my flight that left Boston was delayed 2 hours and delayed 2 hours, and then delayed another hour. And at that point, I was getting into Michigan at like 11:30 at night. And this was just a turn and burn program that was a one day. I'm like, this is going to be ridiculous. I'm going to be so tired. I won't be able to see straight. So unfortunately, I had to cancel. I'm like, this is just getting silly. So stupid rainstorms.
Yeah, it happens in the summertime.
It does happen.
So, the Miata is my toy. I don't use it for commuting. I take it out, a couple times a week just to go out and bomb around. I don't take it on long road trips most of the time. So
would you? Would it be comfortable enough? Would you actually take it if you had a reason to?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah,
I could. There's enough. The trunk is big enough, to hold. I could put a carry-on bag in there, or put a big duffel bag in there, or a couple of duffel bags in there. So yeah, I could use it for a road trip if I wanted to. I sometimes take one of the dogs or both of the dogs and strap them in there, and go for a ride. Our first corgi that we had when I first got it, Rosie, she loved riding in that car.
Cute.
She would sit in the passenger seat, and she was just tall enough that she could sit up in the passenger seat and look out over the windshield, over the dashboard, and see straight out, or stick her head out the side. She loved riding in that, and I took her for a ride her last day before we lost her.
Oh.
And then
so she had one last fun ride in the Miata. That's amazing.
Yep. And then Daisy wasn't. I mean, she was fine. She didn't mind it, but she wasn't as enthusiastic about it. Morty and Patty definitely like riding in that car more, though.
They do. That's cute. You can put both of them in there. That must be hilarious to see the two of them in there.
Yeah,
two corgis squished into a Miata.
Yeah. No, I've taken them both to go to Cars and Coffee.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the Miata, when it first came out, it launched in the fall of 1989. Mine was actually built in October of 89, according to the sticker in there. And when it first went on sale as a 1990 model year car, it was $13,000.
Wow.
So I think I've told this story before, but when I graduated from college in 1990, I wanted to buy myself a new car. At that point, I was driving an older GMC S15 pickup, that was great for going to school, back and forth to school, because I was driving back and forth between what was then GMI, now Kettering University, and my home in Ontario, several times a year. And so it was easy to throw all my stuff in the back of the truck. I wanted to get rid of that and buy a car. And so my short list was the Miata, 5-liter LX Mustang, and the Mitsubishi Eclipse Turbo, the first generation Eclipse.
And how did the Miata win? Was it just the first one you could get?
The first one I knocked off the list was the Eclipse. It was good, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. And then it came down to Mustang versus Miata, and I decided, well, I need a car that I'm going to be driving year round. And so I decided to go with the Mustang instead of the Miata, because I didn't have a garage. I was living in an apartment at the time. And so I went with the Mustang. And, I had that car for 8 years, loved it. But I always wanted one of those first generation Miatas. And when I got the chance to buy this one. So funnily enough, the Mustang and the Miata were about the same price at that time.
That's
so
crazy.
5-liter LX Mustang, I paid $13,000 for it. Miata was about the same price. And when you run it through, inflation calculator, the price today, which starts at about $30,000, works out to about $13,000 in 1990.
Really? So it's kind of held.
Yeah, it's pretty
cool.
steady.
So when that first generation Miata came out, my husband's aunt purchased one. And it was green. Like, I want to say it was like a British racing green. I don't know. I'm sure that's not
I think
that really dark green.
92 or 93, they had a special edition that was British racing green.
It's this beautiful dark green. And I remember she lived in Gloucester, and we had rollerblades. We were rollerblading around, and she came to find us wherever we were rollerblading when we were visiting. And Russ lost it on a hill, like just could not slow himself down because he didn't know where we were, and he went careening down this hill, and Judy was at the bottom of the hill, and he like right into the Miata, like boom into the back, and like half into the back, into the car. Car was not hurt, but he had some bruised knees. But I just remember we were like in our early 20s, and I thought, oh dear God Almighty, please don't have ruined Judy's car. Please don't have ruined Judy's car. Here, Russ is like scraped up knees. He's bleeding. I'm like, is the car okay? I'm like, wait, because I don't have to pay for. Is the car okay? You gotta have your priorities straight. Yes. And then once I realized the car was in peace, I'm like, and Russ, are you okay? Things haven't changed much over the years in that regard.
Yeah, that's right. I've had this car for 9 years now, and I still love it. I have no intention of ever letting this car go.
Nice.
And it's been dead reliable. I had the timing belt replaced a couple years ago at 60,000 miles, like you're supposed to, and had to have clutch cylinder replaced last year, but that was no big deal. It was a couple $100.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, I didn't have a car either, but I did drive a car quite a bit. So I spent more time driving Russ's Wrangler PHEV last week because I had to pick up the daughter at the airport, and then we went for an adventure in the White Mountains, and she drove it for a little bit. And you know what? It's fun. Like, we opened the top up a little bit, and it's fun, but it is just definitely not a road trip car. Like, it was only a 2-hour drive we were going up to in the White Mountains. I think it was about 2 hours. I'll tell you, by the end of that 2 hours there and back, it was like, okay, I'm done with this, because it's just not smooth, and it just doesn't. Its handling has not gotten any better in the 5 years now, I think, that we've owned it. But it does have all the personality in the world, like doing the Jeep wave with everybody everywhere. Everyone's has the doors off.
You have any
top
rubber
down,
ducks on
everything.
the dashboard?
We have rubber ducks on the dashboard. Yes. I think my favorite rubber duck is actually, he got this funky thing because you have too many ducks. What do you do with your ducks? And it sort of hangs from the bar where the speakers are across your head. Mm-hmm. And it's this little thing that you can pop the ducks into. And we have one duck that looks like he's a Trojan. Like, he's got like the hat kind of thing and a shield and a little sword. He's a little Trojan duck. He's really cute. Like a Trojan soldier. I love that duck. And we have one that looks like he's an Easter bunny and has Easter bunny ears. I like the Easter bunny duck of the many, many, many ducks we have received over the years. But, it is fun. It is a fun summer car, when you're just driving slow speed in beautiful mountains and hot, it's gorgeous. But man, that sucker is not a road trip car. It's just not fun to road trip in it for that long. 2 hours. And I thought, yep, I'm about done. Thank you. Goodbye.
Do you ever take the doors off?
He does something. In fact, he was talking about he wanted to have the doors off, and he's thinking next weekend he might take them off because we'll both be home. So he's thinking next weekend, assuming the weather's good. We're supposed to get some horrific rain. I don't know when it's supposed to begin and end, but he wants to take the doors off next weekend. He's been traveling a lot for work, and now he has a little break from the action, so he can take his doors off and have some fun.
So one thing I noticed when the first time I had one, or first time I had a JL, the current generation one, a few years back when it first came out, I took the doors off just to see, how challenging it was. And I went to drive somewhere to take photos of it. It was only like 10 minutes from my house. And at 40 miles an hour, put the doors off. Boy, is it windy in that car.
You do not. I see people driving on the highway like that.
I don't know how that would be really annoying.
No idea. I said, when he was talking about taking the doors off, I said, okay, if we're like driving around town, we go drive around town, like no more than 45. Are we keeping it? I do not want to drive in the highway in that car. I mean, you could, but it would just be, my gosh, it would rip the wind, that would rip the skin off of your face coming at you from all directions. But people do it all the time. I only like it on like slower speeds on side roads and stuff.
Are you allowed to plug it in yet, or is it still do not plug in?
We are allowed. No, we are allowed to plug it in. We can plug it in and we can charge it, and it has reliably. It has reliably been doing so now for several months. It's not the last recall because there's another one. We had the most recent recall. Part of the one we just got was the one that took care of the last of the problems. So you could plug it in, you could charge it. You didn't have to worry about parking it outside. I can't remember what the new recall is. In fact, I'm sitting at Russ's desk, so the paper's probably sitting here somewhere. If I look long enough, I could probably find it. I'm gonna look. Maybe it's back here. But yeah, but it's been fine. Charging up quite happily. In fact, it just is charging right now because we went out for lunch this afternoon, and now it's charging in our driveway.
Yeah, I mean that's the one problem with that plug-in hybrid system on there is they've had a lot of recalls on those things.
Well, and you know what? It's not and in fact, my daughter noticed this because she drove it for a little bit while she was here. And of course, she doesn't ever drive it except when she's home, so it's not something she ever gets used to. And she's had a hard time because the transition sometimes gas to electric can be extremely rough and it catches you a little bit. So if it's about to transition as you hit the gas, which is something that kind of was one of those things that sort of is almost like old school, but it still happens with this car where you get that slight delay as it's like, wait a minute, you need me to be in gas engine mode. Let me switch that. And you're thinking, great, could you do it a little faster? Because I'm pulling into heavy traffic and I do not have 2 seconds to spare. So it freaked out a couple of times. But it was, so it's that transition isn't smooth. I feel like in his car, it's gotten a little bit rougher over time. Like it has not gotten any better for sure. But we were talking about it the other day and he said, despite all the problems that he's had with it, despite the drawbacks, he loves that car, Sam. He loves it. And he's talked about, what would he do for his next car? Because only 5 years old. We got some time with this. But at some point we'll need to get something else. And he said, I don't know. I know that it defies all logic and reason, but I kind of want another Wrangler. That's sort of where he is right now. I thought, if it makes you happy, sweetheart. So we'll see what happens by the time he needs to replace this. But he said, but just gas Wrangler. That or he wants to go with an EV. He wants to have an EV. It will not be my car. My car is going to be gas for a little while. I got burned. I'm a little bit like PTSD on the EV thing.
As long as he doesn't get a Jeep Recon, he'll probably be fine.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. No, I think I pretty much said, I'm like, you will not look at that car. You don't even have to look at it. You can't drive it. You can't look at it. You can't go anywhere near it. So,
Yeah,
that's supposed to be about end of year, right? Is it end of year now? When is that?
Who knows?
Because
Whenever it shows up.
It was like this year, then it was like soon, and then it's like, well, by the end of the year. I'm thinking, what does that mean? It's the end of July right now. Like, we're more than halfway through the year, and I haven't heard anything about it. So I don't know what's happening there.
They're busy launching more and more, various V8s. They don't have time for anything like that. So
yeah, well, let's say that's what it is. Sure, that's it.
Yeah.
I saw something about how the Durango just had like its best sales year and so
ever.
Because of ever. Is it ever? Like the Durango, the ancient Durango. I'm like, you go SUV.
The current Durango has been around for 15 years now. It launched in 2011.
Has it really?
Yeah, I mean it's had a couple of very minor refreshes, but it's still basically the same car it was in 2011. And
wow.
For the current generation, 2025 was its best year yet, and the first half of this year was its best 6-month period.
How funny when you think about that, because normally, a car has really good sales as soon as it, either because it's new, period, the end, or it's all new. They're coming into another generation. And the amount of money it takes to take a car from Gen 1 to Gen 2 or Gen 2 to Gen 3 or to introduce a whole new car is mind-boggling. The time, the energy, all that stuff. They haven't had to do any of that. Now sales for this thing are through the roof. That's like probably their biggest sales success that Stellantis has had. What's going on with the Durango? That's really it's fun though. It's a fun car.
Yeah, I mean, as 3-row SUVs go, it's actually pretty good. It's not
right?
It's not a terrible vehicle. It's a decent platform. It's kind of like, with the old Charger and Chrysler 300 and Challenger. They were old, but they worked.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
they were fine.
decent architecture.
Yeah, like if you're looking from some brand new, fantastic, amazing, whatever it is of the moment. Okay, sure, it doesn't have that, but it's still a really nice car. It's roomy. It's fun to drive. Everything just pretty much works. It's a good burly little SUV. I like it. So I'm kind of happy for it.
Yeah. And they sell, I think they currently only offer it with V8 engines. I don't think they offer it with a V6 anymore. Or did they?
I believe you're right.
For a while,
Somehow
they were only doing V8s. I don't think they brought back the Pentastar.
I believe you're correct. I think you're correct on that.
Let's see.
Are you
Shopping
Googling?
tools,
You're doing
building
your
price,
Google. Okay, Russ's desk is very rickety. As soon as I go to search something, you can see it if you're watching it. My whole screen's like, we're not having an earthquake. It's just his screen is so huge, it moves every time I touch the mouse.
Let's see. GT Plus. GT is the base model. What engines that got?
Do you find it?
Let's see. Power. Oh, here we go. Powertrain. Oh, okay. So they did reintroduce the Pentastar. So you can get it with the Pentastar.
Oh, you can? Okay.
I think the majority of sales are V8s.
I mean, I would get it with a V8. I also feel like the Pentastar, just the V6. So if you're going to buy this car, it's not like this delicate, like elegant, like SUV. It's big.
It's a Dodge.
Bold, it's a Dodge. And if you're going to get a Dodge, get the
V8. You can get it with a Hellcat still. Remember when
That is one of my favorite vehicles on the planet. Not the Hellcat but the Hellcat Durango. I love that. That was on my shopping list, honest to goodness, because there was zero reason for it. Like, why do I need a 3-row SUV with all that horsepower? Well, the whole horsepower, obviously, because it's fun. But how am I rationalizing this big 3-row SUV? I can't rationalize it. So I didn't get it. But man, every time I have driven
when Rose and Reza get you some grandkids.
Exactly.
And then you can bomb around with the grandkids
in
your Hellcat Durango.
That's it. So maybe I'll get rid of the BMW when they have kids, and then I'll get myself a Hellcat. Like most grandmas get a grandma gold sedan, I'm going to get a bright red Hellcat SUV.
And the way things are going at Stellantis right now, it'll still be around when
it won't have changed at all by that time either. Poor Stellantis. I just want them to figure themselves out. Like, come on, you guys, figure it out.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to some other stuff. And
okay,
when Robbie gets here, if he's driving anything, we'll slot that in.
Okay.
So, one of the things about buying EVs, one of the challenges with EVs has been resale value or lack thereof. EVs have tended to have very, very, very strong depreciation over the years, which, if you're not buying new, is fantastic. I mean, we made out like bandits last year when we bought our EV6. We bought a 2023 EV6 all-wheel drive wind, that was $55,000 new. We got it for $27,000 with 13,500 miles on it.
The deals. And I know so many people who bought EVs of late, and that's what they did. They said, we're buying a used one because the new one is out of our budget. The used one below our budget. There's some screaming deals on used EVs right now.
Well, they're less screaming than they used to be.
Yes.
Recurrent is a pretty interesting site. I don't know if you've ever checked out Recurrent.
I have.
If you have an EV, and it's got connectivity, you can connect it. You can create a Recurrent account, and you can track your information on your charging information on there. And they collect information from hundreds of thousands of EVs globally. We actually Craig Cole and I just did an interview with the CEO of Recurrent about a week and a half ago for another podcast, for the Green Cars podcast. But they also work with dealers. So they get health. They provide health information on EVs, to get so they can get the right trade-in values, and also for when they're selling, to value the vehicles right. So they've got all kinds of interesting data on both on the health of the batteries and also on the valuations on used EVs. And so like if you look at Recurrent's data, they've found that, after 100,000 miles, EVs, typically still have over 90% of their original capacity, with one distinct exception, which is the first generation Nissan Leaf, because it had that air-cooled battery. But the Recurrent just put out a report on valuations on used EVs. And typically they they go down. But since January of this year, the average used EV has gained 5.1% in value. When they compared it with the same makes, models, and model years in January and June across 108 combinations, and their values went up. The biggest ones, used EVs under $20,000 in January are up 9.4%. A 2023 Chevy Bolt that averaged $17,718 in January now averages $21,204. It's a 20% jump. So that's pretty good. And they say, Cox Automotive is reporting the same thing. Their Manheim Wholesale Index for used EVs is up 11.4% year over year. And so when I saw this, I went on Auto Trader and looked for EVs, similar mileage to the one we bought. And, because it's been a year, so I picked 2024 models with, about, under 20,000 miles. And actually the values are up by about $4,000 or $5,000 compared to what we paid. Cars that were going for $26,000, $27,000 are now $30,000 to $32,000.
It makes sense that they're hard. They're still, still think they're a great deal. You're still going to get a way better deal than buying new ones. It's that I think there's so many factors that go into that. And I think, the price of gas definitely go into that because people want to get to EVs. And I think that so many EVs are just like new ones. The pricing is just a little out of reach for people. And and they're ready to try it. I think people are ready to give them a go. And it's thinking, okay, if I can't give it a go in a new model, if a used one will do, more and more people are realizing that, like, you can get into one for a lot less. So the prices are creeping up. So the sooner, if you're thinking about it now rather than later, but it makes sense in considering what, sort of the curve of adoption for EVs and what the market is doing with gas prices right now. Although the barrel of oil went down today, I think. So woohoo for those of us driving gas cars.
Yeah. Well, with gas being over $4 a gallon in most of the country since the spring.
Yeah.
That has definitely helped EV sales, or at least most of them, not all of them. Even for new ones, there's been some that have, sales have gone down, but a lot of others, like the Toyotas and Subarus, their sales are way up. They're like double what they were a year ago. Then, a lot of people, took advantage of the rebates last summer, and into September, even on used EVs. And, so it took, there was some pull ahead there on sales. And, so they were able to, they had a drop off in the latter part of the year, but now those are coming back as well. And then you've also got all the lease returns on the 2023 to 2025 models that are coming into used car lots. So, if you're interested in a used EV, now's definitely the time to get one, rather than wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Get it now. Get it while you can before they get pricier.
Yeah. It says, the leaderboard, for the most affordable end, includes the Chevy Bolt, followed by the Kia EV6, the Bolt EUV, the BMW i4, and the Tesla Model Y.
I'd get an EV6. I think from that list, that would be the one I want. What would you get from that list, Sam?
Oh, definitely the EV6. That is what we bought.
Oh, that's right. You would get an EV. Yes, EVs. I love the EV6.
Although I really like the i4 as well. But
you do?
Yeah, I like the i4.
Does the i4 have a funky style? Wait a minute, I got to bring it up.
It does have a big beaver tooth grill, but if you can get past that, it's actually really nice to drive, and it's a hatchback, so you got good cargo space.
Oh, but
inside.
It's so ugly. I just pulled it up, but it's so not pretty.
Just always walk up to it from behind, and it's fine.
Just always from the back or from the side. Never look at it head on.
Yes, exactly.
It's like what am I thinking of? Greeks, Medusa. Don't ever look her right in the eye. Just don't look at the front. It's the Medusa of cars. Don't look at the front. Ah.
Let's see. What else? All right, next up. Let's see. Inside EVs, I had an article. This was actually what linked to the Recurrent article. They had the 5 best used EV deals for range. So what did they pick? So they picked for best deals with most range, Hyundai Kona Electric, $20,200 average used price, 300 miles of real world range. Hyundai Ioniq 6, 24,400 with 340 miles of real world range. Ioniq 5, 26,000 with 350 miles of range. Chevy Bolt, 280 miles of range for 21,300 average price. And the Kia Niro EV, 23,300 with 300 miles of range. So there's some good options out there.
Did one of those, is it the Kona or the Niro, did one of those just get discontinued? I remember
the Kona.
For some reason I thought one of them was the Kona. So that's...
Yeah, they discontinued the Kona EV because they cut the price of the Ioniq 5s down. So the Ioniq 5 starts at 35,000 now. So it was getting a little too close to where the Kona was because the Kona was like 32. And so they just dropped the Kona.
Kona EV. I knew one of them. I couldn't remember. The Hyundai Kona or the Kia Niro. I was like, wait a minute. It's one of those little EVs. Okay.
So let's talk about what Ford was doing at Michigan Speedway last Wednesday.
Yes, that I missed out on.
Yeah.
Tell me. Do tell.
You didn't miss that much.
I didn't miss much?
Yeah, it was the Ford Custom Garage. So, it was an event put on by their customer service and parts division. And so they had a bunch of performance vehicles, performance models. So it's all vehicles that, all equipped with various parts and packages that you can buy from Ford for Ford Racing now. It was Ford Performance. It's back to Ford Racing again. So all kinds of Ford Racing parts. So they had some Mustangs. They had Mustang FP800Ss that have they were based on Mustang GTs, so V8s, 5-liter V8s, with a 3-liter Whipple supercharger on there that takes it from just shy of 500 horsepower to 800 horsepower.
So it's nothing big, just a modest little car.
Yeah, just a little modest little bump.
Oh my
there.
gosh!
And they had them. They had the full FP800 package, which gets you the supercharger, some suspension upgrades, a few other things, to get everything to match the power of that engine. And so we got to do a few laps on the road course at MIS.
And how fun was that?
800 horsepower is a lot. It's a lot of horsepower.
Did everyone survive the experience? Did all the vehicles and journalists survive, as far as you know? At
least in the morning session when I was there, I did not see anybody spin. I did not see anybody crash. There was no dented metal.
Well done, us. Okay, okay. That's not always the case when you give a bunch of journalists a really powerful car and a track.
Yeah, I mean, they did have, professional ride along in the passenger seat, with us, on all the time. So they kind of, kept things under control. But it's nice, for the stuff that was on there, it's about $20,000 worth of parts.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's a big increase.
Yeah. Well, but
you're getting a lot for it. It's not like you're not getting a decent amount of stuff.
You take a $45,000 Mustang GT, just a base Mustang GT starting about $45,000. Add 20,000-ish to that, you're in mid 60s. You've got 800 horsepower, which is the same as you get in a $400,000 Mustang GTD.
Yeah. That's a good point.
It doesn't have all the suspension goodies that are on the Mustang GTD, so it's not going to be quite as fast around the track. But for most people, it's going to be plenty.
Well, that's the thing. Like some of these cars that we get to drive, Sam, and that people look at and you think, oh my gosh, I want this super tricked out thing. That's this. If I had $150,000, yeah, but you can sometimes get really close, and for significantly less. And unless you really are someone who's going to track drive every single weekend, you're not going to enjoy that as much as you think you are. Like, it's just a lot on a road. What are you going to do with that on the highway? You can't actually take advantage of that. What are you going to do with that on the way to the grocery store? You can't take advantage of that. It's sort of almost wasted unless you track drive those things all the time.
Right. And that's what I said to the guys at Ford. I said, yeah, this is great, but unless I'm going on track days all the time, it is a waste. I drove out there in my Miata, which is not nearly as fast as these cars. But, I think I would, on most days, I would probably have a lot more fun with the Miata than in one of these 800 horsepower Mustangs.
I would say the same thing. If you gave me a choice, you got to have a daily driver. That Mustang that's 800 horsepower or your 1990 Miata with a questionable 116 horsepower, I would take your Miata because the Miata is going to be fun. You're going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of drive
you can enjoy
it
at speeds that aren't going to get you thrown in jail.
Right. And, and truly that is like, even if you're not if you're not being irresponsible, if you're trying to stay within the speed limit, it sounds so silly, but when you drive those powerful cars, it is so easy to suddenly look down at the speedometer and think, whoa, I didn't know I was going that fast, because they're just effortless, which is amazing. But also, like you said, it's going to get you a speeding ticket or get you thrown in jail if you're not paying attention. Or
hurt you wonderful. Or other people.
That's the thing. So they're wonderful. They are so much fun, but I feel like they're toys. Like they're not great as daily drivers. And if you can have that for your track driving and have your Miata or whatever else it is you love for everyday driving, that's the perfect world. So maybe that's the way to do it. But I can't imagine some of these really super high horsepower cars as everyday drivers. As I say that I want a Hellcat SUV when I have grandchildren, but still, I cannot imagine these high horsepower cars. There's a certain impracticality to them that you have to be willing to live with, and knowing that you're not going to get the best out of them all the time. Oh my God, Robbie is here.
Look, it's the Brooklyn Bridge.
Is that what's behind you?
Hold on.
Wait,
There
see
you
it.
go.
I see it.
Look at that.
Wow.
Okay. I made it. Whew.
What are you in New York for? Can you tell us what you're in New York for?
Yeah, sure. I'm here for Audi. I don't think I'm allowed to say what for, or maybe I don't know. I'm in New York with Audi.
You're in New York with Audi. We'll leave it at that. Okay.
Yeah. How's everybody doing?
Good. How are you? I'm glad is your phone working yet? Is T-Mobile still down?
Yeah, apparently T-Mobile was down. I didn't know that. I was like in the car on the way from the airport here, and I'm like, I'm not getting any network. And so then I remembered that I have my work phone, which the only reason I use my work phone is for security stuff. That's it. Like, none of my phone calls go to it. It's just a phone I have, and I was able to tether to it, and I did that for a little bit, and then finally it looks like it's working now. I guess
Yay.
T-Mobile's back. Society has not collapsed while I was in the air.
Not collapsed.
Everything is coming up Millhouse.
We were just talking about the Ford Custom Garage event I went to at Michigan Speedway last week, where they had a bunch of stuff, a bunch of Ford vehicles with Ford racing parts on them, and we were just finishing up with the 800 horsepower Mustang, supercharged Mustang FP800S, which is just bonkers.
Were you there, Roberto?
I was not, but at the same time, I mean, that's if you're gonna race a car, like you're going to a track or
just saying that.
Yeah, but also like, I mean, there's a lot of EVs that have that much power.
Well,
so people are already buying these high-powered vehicles.
Yeah. This morning I had a Rivian R1T quad delivered.
Oh wow!
It's 1,025 horsepower, which is just stupid.
Silly.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? You don't need that. What? And a Rivian? Like, what are you doing?
Hey guys, Rivian, no less.
I'm gonna go do some paddleboarding. Hey everybody, I'm gonna take my bike up to the mountains and go for a hike. Gotta do some surfing later. Like everything in the back of your truck slamming into the tailgate. Everything's getting all
all that stuff should be in the gear tunnel anyway.
Oh gosh.
Well, you can't stick a surfboard in a gear tunnel.
That's true. But you can stick an inflatable paddleboard in a gear tunnel.
That's true.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I want to see you taking the corgis for a drive. 1,000 horsepower. Poor doggos.
Hold on, dog.
No, not going to do that. But then the next rotation after the Mustang They took us over, and we got to drive some F-150s with a Whipple supercharger on there. They only had a mere 700 horsepower. So,
Ugh.
yeah.
Why even bother?
Why? That makes even less sense to me. Like a powerful F-150 is just a silly thing.
How much power does a Raptor have? Like a straight up just
The
F-150
standard Raptor is, I think, like 450, 460 horsepower
God.
with the
What's-
EcoBoost V6. And then,
What's the Lightning have?
well, the Lightning was
see.
600, I think, close to 600.
I met a musician. So I had the yeah. Anyway, I was doing sound for a thing, and I met a musician who had an F-150 Lightning, and he also has horses. And I asked him, he's like, I love this thing. It's the best. He's like, it's perfect for hauling horses. It's horse for like all of his band stuff. He had this really cool thing that slid out. So like it slides out and it's like when you open the oven and
like a slide out tray in the bed.
And the grill slides out? Yeah.
And the grill slides. It's the same thing. It says a slide out tray. And I was like, oh. So that's
Nice.
the cool thing I saw.
Okay. But, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, 700. Well, there's also the Raptor R, which has 720 horsepower because that's a supercharged 5.2 liter. It's basically the engine from the old GT500, Shelby GT500. Yeah. Again, why?
I don't think anyone's using it for that. I mean, you know only people who are using it to do the thing that it's supposed to do are automotive journalists who like drive out to the Mojave Desert and are like, all right, let's find a place. Let's get the camera thing. Let's set up our cameras. All right, make sure there's no one around. There's like all this like work that goes into like, now we got that shot of this jumping. It's
Whee! Yep.
That's who's using the car. It's us.
That's the
it's
only
us,
time.
and we're all like, hey, where'd you go to get that shot?
That's the only question that happens from the whole thing. Yeah.
And then after the F-150s, they took us over to the third station, which was the Maverick. They showed these at I think at SEMA last November. It's the SV300T Maverick. So basically, the Maverick with the 2-liter EcoBoost, they take that and they put the larger turbocharger and some other bits from the 2.3-liter EcoBoost that's in the Mustang onto the Maverick. And then they had us run an autocross course on there. And the problem with doing that, and it also had some suspension upgrades. So the full package with the turbo and other bits in the suspension was about $5,000. The Mustang, by the way, Robbie, you missed it. The Mustang package was $20,000 on top of a Mustang GT. But if you're going to do stuff like this, you can order it directly from your dealer and have it installed, and then you can roll it all into your insane monthly payment loan.
Oh,
so you get a 3-year warranty on it.
So, I mean, that's cool. The 3-year warranty is cool. But so if I have, a $60,000 like loan on my F-150 and I decide I want to add like, $20,000 to it or $10,000 to it. So now they'll just like, I'm 1 year into my loan and they're like, oh, your loan's just bigger now. Instead of paying a bunch of different people.
Yeah.
You're paying one person a lot of money when the interest rates are not great right now.
They're not. They're not fabulous.
We did an autocross with the Mavericks with the big turbo on there. And yes, it's definitely faster. But the problem is that big turbo, a lot of turbo lag. So when you go to launch, it just kind of sits there for a bit until it builds up some boost. So to really get the most out of it, you gotta brake torque it, do a little left foot braking, spin up the turbo, and then let the brake go, and then it goes. But I would take the suspension upgrades, the suspension and brake upgrades, and just forget about the turbo because you
just stick the turbo on with the hybrid, and then let the hybrid handle the tweak the system for the hybrid so it handles the zero, that first initial push, and then the turbo catches up.
Yeah.
But what do I know? That involves a lot more work. That's not just a thing you just throw in your car later on.
Yeah. Right.
So, and then the final thing we went to was they took us around, to an area that they had set up for content creation. But before they let people do that, they took us around behind some trees, and they had a Bronco there.
They took us behind some trees.
Jeez, what's happening?
They were hiding a Bronco back there. Apparently, Ford Racing is going to be doing these annual drops of special edition Broncos, kind of like Jeep is doing right now every month with the Wrangler.
Mm-hmm.
Ford's only going to do it once a year.
The Lamborghini did one for Halo today. I guess got a random thing about a Halo-inspired Lamborghini Urus.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right. I'm like, unless it's Halo 3, who cares?
The Bronco that they showed us that, as we're recording, it went live this morning. It was embargoed till this morning, is the Bronco Desert Sun, which is inspired by the color of the skies in the desert in Utah, in Moab.
It's pink.
Or Desert Rising, not Desert Sun, Desert Rising. And it's got lots of pink on it. And it looks good.
Excuse me. It's magenta. I kind of like it.
Oh, there's actually a bunch of different shades. Pink and magenta.
Shades of magenta. It's
I love
sunset.
the seats. The seats are definitely that magenta. It looks like which is like the deeper of the pink side. So it's kind of cool.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for it.
I
all
like
that.
it.
The Desert Rising.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's very pink.
Yeah.
It's very pink.
They just should have just called it Barbie car and sold like probably double what they're going to sell it now.
Right.
Now.
There it is.
Seriously.
There's the Barbie Bronco, the Desert Rising
Bronco.
Bronco.
Literally,
this whole package is $13,695.
Oh, wow.
It's just appearance too. That's it.
Well, it includes the wheels and the special interior and the graphics and everything. But yeah,
that's a lot.
They're
It's
method
really cool,
wheels.
though. I mean, it's very cool.
Yeah,
But that's kind of a lot, though.
It is.
Barbie girl
In a Barbie world. I
So-
don't know the rest of.
so that was the
words.
Ford Custom Garage Day.
Okay.
All right. Good job, Ford.
Yeah.
Good job,
So-
Ford.
Robbie, before we carry on, did you drive anything that you want to talk about?
I drove two things. I will talk about them very briefly. I haven't even done the math on one of them, or either of them one of them. So I had the Kia Telluride. Oh, you know what? Give me 2 seconds. Talk about something else. I got to look these. Let me get these things up. I want to.
Want to talk about another thing, Sam? Pick another topic. Which one?
Okay. How about concepts that got worse on the way to production? Jalopnik
Jalopnik
had one of their listicles that readers submitted a bunch of stuff, so some cool concept cars that by the time they made it to production did not look quite so cool. So the first one up was the Chevy Volt, the original Volt concept.
That's the concept of the Volt? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That looks nothing like the car that became the Volt. Wow.
It's it's a little different. Then they also had the Pontiac Transport. This one goes way back. This one was from 1986. I remember when the Transport concept
I don't remember that one, so I can't help with that one. Did that look
yeah.
1986 Chicago Auto Show. Wow.
Do you remember the production version of the Transport?
I don't
the
even
first
remember
Pontiac
the
minivan,
production.
the Dustbuster van. It had a really long nose.
I know which one you're talking about. That was it? Okay.
Yeah. The concept looked much better. Did not look the same.
God.
The Jeep Gladiator. So there was a Gladiator concept based on the JK Wrangler back before the production Gladiator arrived. But this was based on a two-door, slightly extended cab Wrangler.
When did this concept come out? I don't even remember this concept.
It was probably about 2015.
God, I totally missed it. This looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm mad. Now I'm mad. I didn't know this is what it was supposed to look like in concept. Look at the little door. Like the teeny little back door in the side.
It's kind of like the Rivian gear tunnel.
Ah, that was cool. Jeep, come on. That was really cool.
And then there was the Ford Interceptor concept. So
Oh,
back
my goodness.
in in January 2007 at the same Detroit Auto Show where they unveiled the Volt, Ford had 3 concepts, including this one. There was the Lincoln MKR and the Airstream van. And strangely enough, that summer in July of that year, they had an event at the Dearborn Proving Grounds where we actually got to drive these concepts around the proving grounds. It was not as exciting as you might expect it to be because these were concepts, so they weren't real well sorted out. And it was like a 90-something degree day with 95% humidity.
Ugh.
And the Interceptor had a 5-liter V8 crate motor in it with a big 4-barrel carburetor on it. So it wasn't even fuel injected. It was a carbureted engine. And with the heat and humidity that day, it kept getting vapor locked. So you'd do about 3/4 of a lap, and then it would just start to sputter and die. And then they'd have to let it sit for 10 minutes and cool off before the next person could get in and go. So not a lot of fun. And then let's see, next on the list was the Subaru WRX concept. The caption on here: every single Subaru WRX concept versus the real car they released in the last 20 years. Not quite as much fun.
Yeah.
And then there was the Jeep Renegade, which this one was about 2009, I think, 2008 or 2009.
That looks like a dune buggy.
Yeah, a little Jeep dune buggy.
That was what the original. It's just registering. That was the concept for the Renegade.
It had the same name. It was not.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. It looks nothing. Aw. And it's kind of fun. But you know what this one reminds me of? I'm going to be honest. So if anybody's ever been to Disney World and done the Chevy test track experience, you could build your own car and you on little thing as a part of the line. And then it would tell you how it did for performance, for power and efficiency. And it totally looks like something some kid would have built
it's the
on that test track. That's hilarious.
There we go. There's the Renegade. Let's see, that was the Subaru. The Interceptor. There was the Gladiator Jeep. For anybody that's watching.
I love the Gladiator. Oh my God,
let's see what else we got here. Oh, the Toyota FT1 concept. This eventually became the Supra.
I mean, not even close. You guys.
And then the Jaguar XJ220. The production version did not look nearly as good as the original concept.
The Aztec, and of course the Aztec looked like the Aztec, but it unfortunately looked like that.
Yeah.
The one they should have changed.
Yeah. Well, it actually did change quite a bit. The proportions when you look at it.
Isn't the back? It still has that weird. I don't know how to say about the back. The back is that like
the concept actually did look a lot cooler than the production.
Did it?
Yeah.
I still don't think it's that cool.
I said cooler. I didn't say it looks cool.
Okay.
The bar's very low.
Cooler.
Yeah.
It's a low bar. Okay, understood. Well, okay, now I'll agree with you, Sam.
All right, Robbie, your turn.
Okay, so so first let's start with the Kia. I drove the Kia Telluride X Pro XX SX Prestige. Okay, let's try that over. Telluride
Too many X's.
X Pro SX Prestige all-wheel drive. That is a lot of words.
It's a lot of car name.
It is, and this is sort of their off-roady vehicle. You know, it's if you're like, hey, I want to get a Land Rover, but I kind of want it not to break down, and I don't need a Land Rover. You get the 2027 Telluride X Pro SX Prestige all-wheel drive.
And it runs.
It has a 2.5 liter turbo engine. It's got 8-speed automatic transmissions, all-wheel drive. It has terrain mode, self-leveling rear suspension. Ooh. It's got 247 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. More than enough whenever I need to stomp on it to get on the freeway. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Very comfortable seats. Like more comfortable than the car I had, the other vehicle I had. And the other vehicle I had was substantially more. The sticker price, not double, but almost close. No, I mean, Kia, the Telluride, these these, the Telluride came out and it kind of changed everything for a lot of people. It changed a lot of things for Kia. I like the design of the old Telluride better, but that doesn't mean I hate this design. I still, it's nice. It's nice to drive. It's comfortable. Like, you got three rows. I don't know who's going to sit in the back. That's, again, I'm not going to play the game of trying to big guy in the back of a car. Because like no one wins. No one wins in that. But it had the captain's seats. I like this vehicle. The fuel economy, according to the EPA, is 19 combined, 17 city, 22 highway. I got 20. So yeah, there you go. I drove around. I didn't do a lot of hauling with it. I wasn't able to take it off road. So that's kind of a meh. So that's a bummer. But I did drive this off road before, and it works really well. So it's not the end of the world. I didn't drive it off road while I was at my house because I'd already done it, and it worked fantastic. Of course, because it has all the extra letters and words, it costs more. So a regular Kia Telluride starts.
And those stick-on letters are expensive.
Yep. The regular Kia Telluride starts at $39,000 for the LX, $39,190. This one starts at manufacturer's suggested retail price, $56,790. And then they had this like brown matte paint.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's almost like an orange. It's like a orangey brown. It says carpeted floor mats. Mine did not have carpeted floor mats. It had the rubber floor mats. So they
may have swapped them out. Sometimes they do that at that. Like I get plastic floor mats that are generic.
Yeah, the whole thing had like the rubber floor mats, which I was like, good job, Kia. In the front, in the back, that's how you should outfit your vehicle, especially if it's an off-roady vehicle, because you're going to get out, you're going to get mud or dirt or I don't know, whatever else you're standing in. If you have cows or horses, you don't want to get down on the carpet. You can just get in a little rubber mat, take the mat out, hose it off, toss it back in. You're on with your life. After everything, it's a $60,000 car, $60,000 Kia. Does it feel like a $60,000 Kia? Yes, because it's Kia. Everything feels nicer than it does, But it's a $20,000. Upgrade from just the regular Telluride. And if you're not doing all the things that this vehicle says that you can do, you could save $20,000. You have most of a slate paid for if you just get a regular Kia.
That's something that like such a recurring theme. We were talking about it even with paying for performance cars right as you were coming into the show. It's hard. It's so tempting to want to buy stuff that you look at it, you go, oh, the performance, like off-road, or all the performance on the track. Do you actually do that? Are you actually going to do that? If you're going to do that, if that is your true lifestyle, knock yourself out. If it's not your lifestyle, don't waste your money on that. Don't do it. You're spending a lot for stuff you're never going to use. Like
all-terrain tires. Like I went to... Where did I take the Kia? I think I took it to Costco because that's the thing I do. I took it to I took it to band practice. I took it to, I was on the freeway and I was on side streets. I think maybe I drove onto a dirt road for like 3 seconds. Yeah.
There you go.
It's got some action.
Not worth it for those 3 seconds if you were spending your own
It might
money.
have just been gravel on a road. So very quickly, that was the Kia Telluride X Pro SX Prestige all-wheel drive. The other vehicle I had, I just ended up getting 2 vehicles this week, was not completely different. 2026 Lucid Gravity.
Ooh, what'd you think of that?
I mean, I liked it at the initial drive. I think it is a really nicely engineered. I really like the design of it. It's really just a really tall it's just a big wagon. I like to joke, this is the best Volvo wagon EV out there. My wife said it was a minivan. She's like, oh, this thing's, she was kind of looking at it, it's like a minivan. Because, the load height is really low. And it's, all these things went into making it so you could put tall people in the back and they could sleep. That's the same. You put a surfboard back there.
It really does give off minivan vibes, to be honest. It really does.
It does. But and then you drive it and you're like, oh gosh, this is
not a minivan.
It's not a minivan. This one was outfitted with Dream Drive 2 Pro. So it's their latest edition of their ADAS system, hands off. It did really well, especially in some of the corners around my house. Some of the, GM, Blue Cruise, Mercedes. No, I think Mercedes handled it. But there's some pretty tight corners, just because of the nature of driving around the Bay Area, apparently, on the freeway. And this did a really good job, like, handling it. Where it did get a little wonky is, like, it was able to do, we were in a construction zone, so the lines were gone, but it had those little pieces of tape, those things in the road.
Oh yeah.
So it was able to to continue to center the lane, do all the hands free, whatever, for quite a long time. And then it got real weird, like the way the tape was, and you just like a faint line, and when they're doing construction, they're just kind of moving the road around while they're working on stuff.
And
so at that point, it was like, so what it kept doing was it kept trying to engage, and then it would disengage, and then it would engage, and then disengage, and then it would engage, and then disengage, and then it would, and like, all right, now this is just annoying. Fortunately, you can go into the menu, and you can you can set it from Dream Drive and just set it to adaptive cruise control. Thank God. But I have to go into a menu because a lot of this vehicle is in the menu. Yes, they have buttons. They have the little 4 buttons on the steering wheel on each side, the little, like, almost joysticks with the 2 action buttons below them. And, they do have a little, clickers up and down for climate controls, and they have a volume roller. So they have, like, all the sort of the basics covered. But there's so many, like, little things you can turn on and off in this vehicle that's in the screen. And so you're like, okay, let me find this thing. And it's not too hard, but it's also in the screen. So I'm doing that instead of, like, looking where I'm going.
Yeah. That's a problem.
That's a problem. There's a problem right there. So, but at the end of the day, it's still, it's all-wheel drive, a dual motor, 560 horsepower. It's got a 700 volt architecture. 19.2 kilowatts. I'm sorry. Yeah, 19.2 kilowatts AC charging. Thumbs up on that. That's some good charging. If you happen to have that,
if you've got an 80 amp circuit in your home,
well, you're gonna need a
100 amp circuit
because you got to do 20% more.
Yeah, you need a 100 amp circuit dedicated to your charger.
So it is a quick, solid vehicle. I will say that spending a lot of time in the vehicle. I don't like the seats weren't nearly as comfortable as the Telluride. And again, seats are really? Seats come down to, like, personal preference. The Telluride, they just felt comfier. They were squishier, and the Lucids were a bit more firm. Again, that is a individual. It's kind of nice having 2 cars, but not so much because now I got to drive both these cars. Oh, I've been driving this car too much. Let me go drive the other one. Hold on. Let me go drive the car. Oh, I got to do a range run. Oh, and I tried to do a range run in this one, and I got like 10 minutes out, and then there was like car accidents. I'm like, well, that's a waste
there you
of my
go.
time.
Boom,
I know. You're
done.
like, well, I guess I'm going home.
And
Overall, I think, again, I think we talked about the packaging. Lucid's packaging is like, bar done. They have the frunk, you can sit in it. They set it up so you can sit down. You put there's cup holders. There's so much space in this vehicle. So, Sunday I had to do sound for some bands playing a show, and I was bringing the PA. So I have this giant, like, mixing PA thing. It has like a mixer. It has amplifiers inside. It's like a big rolling block. And then I also have 2 speakers for music. And then I have 2 monitors, actually 2 regular size monitors. And then I have this big giant powered monitor. So I have to put all that. And I have a box, when you go to like Costco or Walmart, those big, like the big plastic bins like that, full of cables and whatnot. And so plus mic stands and some other, and a hand cart and a chair so I could sit down. Shoved all that in the back of the Gravity. There was just so much more room to put more things. I didn't have to Tetris anything. I didn't have to do anything. I was like, plop, plop, plop. Like every time I do anything else in any other vehicle, I'm like, okay, I have this stuff. Like this goes on here, and then I can set this on here, and then I can like, let me turn these because the monitors have like a 45-degree angle, so you kind of like Tetris them together. Like two triangles coming together, and so you're doing all this stuff, and then you got to stick things on top of that stuff. You want to make sure that it's not set up in a way where if you stop it, like bings you in the back of the head. Nope, didn't have to do any of that stuff. I could have put my guitar and my amp back there. I could have put so much room for
All
so
the
much room.
space.
So much room for activities. I will say, so this vehicle, it has a rating of 337 miles. And previously, whenever I would test a Lucid, because they're using the same testing that Tesla uses, is that, the mileage number was always lower than the mileage number. The EPA range is always higher than the actual range. Like one of them, like I had like a 500 mile and it did 450. I'm like, who cares if it's 50 miles off? You're doing 400 and something miles.
Yeah.
I was like, this one, it beat the miles. So at 337, I got 342.
Oh, that's
on
good.
my range run. So
is this
job.
with the big wheels, the 22-inch wheels?
Yeah, let me see. It's 20-inch. No, we had the 20-inch wheels. 20 on the front, 21 on the back.
Okay.
So it wasn't the giant wheels. So, but no, it is a nice like road tripping vehicle. I remember when we drove it, it was you had it for a while. I drove this car more than the Kia just because I have to do a couple articles on this vehicle. But yeah, the Dream Drive Pro, it's up there with other offerings. It does have the same thing that like GM has, where you have to kind of like, you can feel the torque, like kind of wrestle it away from that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some other, I know, I can't talk about that. Never mind. I was going to say a thing. Almost got busted. I think we talked about how like why. Like Blue Cruise scored above GM, and I believe in Consumer Reports, was it? We did it.
Yeah,
but it was
Consumer
it was the
Reports.
sort of takeover where it's a little bit more seamless. There's not as much torque to take over, which I actually enjoy. I like the idea of having less torque. I shouldn't have to fight with the car, because what happens when you fight is now you inadvertently like swerving in the road like very quickly. That's not great.
End up overreacting to it.
Exactly. And so, yeah, it's a comfortable car, but not as comfortable as that Telluride. And this car starts at, so the base for this one is $80,000. I got the Dream Drive, which was, $6,700. A Surreal Sound Pro, which was $3,000. Comfort and convenience package. They had a bunch of stuff. Heated wheel, acoustic thermal insulate, rear privacy glass, whatever, $2,500. A dynamic handling package. It handled really well on the back roads, like really, really well. But that's, Lucid, the chassis, the engineering, the packaging, that's their holy trinity. It's the software where things get a little weird. So I didn't have any weird software issues or glitches, but there is a thing where if you're projecting CarPlay onto the screen, typically, when you look at the screen, along the left-hand corner is like the home button and a couple other buttons, like the main buttons that get you, to whatever your main categories in the screen. When you have CarPlay, those disappear, and to get out of CarPlay, you have to hit the CarPlay button above, the little logo above that. So I was trying to think, like, how do I go back to the home screen? And I was like, what if I just hit the CarPlay button? I'm like, oh, that's what you got to do. So if you have a Lucid, that's what you got to do. It's odd. They could move it over to the left and have those three. It's something they should probably fix. That said, at the end of the day, the vehicle, $104,700. Woo! Again, that's $20,000, almost $25,000 more than than just the base model. And really, I do need Surreal Sound Pro? Maybe,
of course.
I don't know.
You want your sound to be
Absolutely.
surreal while you're driving.
I mean, who doesn't want surreal sound?
Dream Drive 2 Pro. And here's the thing. I still leave my hands on the wheel. I don't. Hands-free driving becomes less and less impressive to me because I don't have anywhere to put my hands anyway.
I thought about that with
great.
the hands-free driving thing.
If you're eating, it's helpful.
You just have
if
your
you're
hands.
drinking, look,
You're
Will Ferrell in Talladega Heights.
Hold your hands okay, what do I don't know where to put them. Yep.
And I don't trust robots, to be honest.
I don't trust robots.
I've been a reporter that's covered
There's also that.
I've been a reporter who's been covering on technology, both on like consumer technology and now automotive technology, for far too long to trust any robots. Yeah, overall, no, but I really liked it when I did the first drive. I really like it now. I know people. There's they've had issues with software. This is, I don't know what version of the software they're on now, but I think it's like V3. I think it's version 3 of the software that is in that vehicle. Yeah, it's a great car. It's an amazing band vehicle, or if you surf,
great for carrying dogs
anything.
too.
Yeah, if you have to haul
four dog kennels in the back.
You could put 4 dog kennels in the back, which we did with the Operation Frodo. I mean, it's a really impressive vehicle. I don't have the top charge rate, it's probably 350. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's around 320.
I don't want to lie. Hold on. It's like
I don't want to lie. Lying liar, Robbie.
I know. I don't want to say 350, and then someone's like, he's a liar.
It is over 300. I know that.
I had someone. I did a video about the at 400 kilowatt. Whoa, there you go. 400 kilowatt DC fast charging. Charging made simple. Lucid gravity. Yeah. So it's quick. It's an axe charger. Easy peasy. So 400 kilowatts. Yeah, it's more than Samurai said. So we weren't gonna hurt anybody's feelings. About that video, I did a video about the ID4, like the launch one, the first, and I said the specs. I did the video, and the video was a talk because at the time Volkswagen was saying it's like, oh, this is the new Beetle, because the Beetle was such a huge deal for them. And I said it then, I think it now. It wasn't a new Beetle for them. I think there was, but I brought a Beetle out. We had a Super Beetle, and we were driving it around, talking about the differences between them and what one meant, what the other meant. And the video goes up, and it just went on my regular YouTube site. And somebody jumped on there, and was like, he didn't even get the specs right. Those aren't the specs of my car. And I'm like, oh, sir, I didn't even bother replying because I was like, I don't know what to tell you. That's specs. I mean. Have you ever looked at different trims? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't like to lie, but also if you come at me and say you got the specs wrong, and then I double check and I'm like,
don't come at him.
Don't come at me. Don't come at me for silliness.
All right. Anything else on the Gravity?
If you're rich, it's the best minivan.
If you're rich. Buy it if you're rich. Otherwise, bye-bye.
If you're rich, I mean, $80,000. If you got $80,000 and you're like, you know what? I need a really rad minivan that's not a minivan that I can put so much stuff in and has a low load height, and it'll go for almost 350 miles. And when it does charge, if you're lucky enough to find one, it'll do 400 kilowatts. There you go. Lucid Gravity.
There we go. Lucid Gravity. Done.
All right.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
So you mentioned CarPlay. So we've talked before about CarPlay Ultra and how basically nobody but Aston Martin's using it.
Did I tell you that I ended up liking it? I was like, this is dumb. And then I was watching. I'm like, oh,
what, CarPlay Ultra?
Yes. But it was in an Aston Martin. So like Aston Martin's job isn't making like a good software. Aston Martin's job is to make an Aston Martin. So I'm like, all right, it makes sense. But I ended up like, because before I was like, this is nonsense. And then I was driving around. I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice, actually.
Well, no other automaker has used CarPlay Ultra, but Ford announced that they're going to use Apple Maps in the new universal electric vehicle. Ah. So Apple's got, they've got their map kit for automotive SDK. And as part, Ford, like a couple of years ago, Ford started introducing a Google Android based infotainment system in a bunch of vehicles. They've got it in the Explorer and the Expedition and a couple of Lincolns now. But with the UEV, they're going back to doing their own completely in-house system. So we'll see how that works out. But
I feel like Apple Maps is going to be the best part of it. And I will say that I use Apple Maps way more than I used to, because when it launched, once we were going camping and Apple Maps led me to a tiny regional airport. Like, it's at the end of the runway. We're just driving and then, like, there's a gate. And we were sitting in the car, and my wife and I were like, at the same time, oh, Apple Maps. And we just backed up. Drove off.
I can remember trying to find places with the original Apple Maps, and there was some spot that was like in a strip mall. It was one of the first times I had ever used it. And like I drive, there's like 20 strip malls in the store. It's like, turn here. I'm like, turn here. There's that, and it was like, I'm like, none of these malls have the thing. And I'm just like cruising through parking lots. It's like 3 strip malls down from where I want to be. It was like, stupid Apple Maps. I was like late for my appointment. I couldn't find it. It was, initially I hated it. It made me angry.
Well, it has definitely gotten better.
Oh yeah, it's way, way better.
So
preferred, if you're walking around Japan, use Apple Maps. Don't use Google Maps. You're going to get lost with Google Maps.
Oh yeah? Oh, good to know.
Well, the Apple Map Kit for automotive is going to be in the UEV platform. It's going to be powering the base navigation system, plus the EV charge routing, and they're also using it it's going to be powering the next generation Blue Cruise stuff that Latitude AI is working on. So that's going to start off with hands-free capability, and then eventually the plan is to make it hands-off and eyes-off capable.
Level 3.
Yeah,
everyone's the plan eventually is for everyone.
Yeah. But it's all going to be based on Apple Maps, because right now Ford uses Here Maps for Blue Cruise, and they use TomTom for their navigation stuff, except on the newer models that have Android, where they're using Google Maps. But they're ditching all of that and going with just Apple Maps across the board on the UEV.
That's a bummer for Here and TomTom, because they were sort of like the map people forever, and then womp womp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ford will be the first one using Apple Map Kit.
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah. We'll be curious to see if it can actually find chargers.
I can tell you that my hat's off to Ford. Apple can be a huge pain in the ass to work with. I was an Apple reporter for years. Like everyone I've dealt with, everyone I talked to, a lot of them sort of like, well, on background, are like, yeah, it wasn't a fun experience.
Well, and I think that's a big part of why almost nobody is using CarPlay Ultra, because Apple has just been a pain to work with to try and implement.
Apple's Apple.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're like, we're Apple. What are you going to do? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
So Ford also announced another thing. They're partnering with a company called Generlink. And Generlink makes these adapter collars that go behind your meter, your electric meter. So basically, you take off the meter, and actually you don't do this. You get an electrician to do this. To unplug the meter, this thing goes on the box, and then the meter goes back on top of that. And so it's an adapter that goes in between your house and the meter. And it has a transfer switch in it and an outlet. So they've actually, Generlink has actually been selling these for a few years. And I was looking at, when this announcement came out, I was looking at DTE Energy, my local utility. They actually offer these already. So it's a 240 volt outlet. And they have 30 amp and 40 amp versions of this. So if you have a portable generator, you can plug your generator into that. So if your power goes out, you can plug in your generator and then just switch off some of the circuits in your house and power stuff in your house without having extension cords running all over the place. If Ford is now partnering with these guys so that if you have a Ford truck an F-150 with their Pro Power on board, and you've got the 240 volt outlet, you can just, it comes with a cord. You can just plug it right into this thing, and it powers your house. And a lot easier and a lot cheaper than the intelligent the power backup solution that they had for the Lightning, which was like $4,000 just for the parts, for the components, and then thousands more to actually install it. And this
I feel
thing,
like it was more than 4,000.
no, it was about 4,000 for the components, and then anywhere from 4,000 to 15,000 for installation, depending on how your house was set up. This thing is $1,100, and installation's like $250 to $450 typically.
Oh. And then like anything, you can set up to anything. It can be your Ford, it can be a generator, it can be it could be a Hyundai with the little vehicle load thing if you're really
except that
crazy.
one's only 120 volt, and this is set up for 240 volt.
Okay. You can get oh, never mind. This is a completely different topic. It has nothing to do with cars. I won't bring it up unless it's about chicken.
They also have a version, if you don't have a compatible meter, they have a version that can be mounted on the wall next to the meter box and then tied in. And that's a few $100 more, but it's an interesting solution. I'm thinking about actually getting one of these.
I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's just sort of like, hey, you have this extra thing. It's peace of mind.
Yeah.
Things go crazy. You're like, this is the easiest way for me just to plug things in. Without having to plug, like you said, a spider web of.
I mean, when we've had power outages, that's what I've ended up with, because I've had a portable gas generator, for years. So whenever we have a power outage, I have extension cords running all over the house. It's insane, really unsafe, but. Sometimes
really unsafe, but I do.
Sometimes
anyway.
When it's 0 degrees outside, you need to have something going.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. Let's see. Talk about that. So Stellantis and Mobileye made an announcement the other day. Like when Stellantis had their investor day back in May, they announced a deal with Wave for their next generation. Hands-free and also eventually level 3 systems that are going to be coming. That's going to be coming after 2028. But they're going to be they already have Mobileye based systems in some of their vehicles now. And so they're upgrading that to Mobileye's cloud enhanced ADAS. So what that's doing is it's adding Mobileye's map system in there, their road experience management map system. And it should make their hands-free systems that they have in like the Ram 1500s and the Jeep Grand Cherokees and the Wagoneers perform much, much better. And that's cool. That's coming in 2027.
I mean, that's good. Anything that makes the systems a little bit smoother, a little bit less intrusive to your driving experience is a good thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, the key to the Mobileye map system is it's crowdsourced, so they collect data from millions of cars that are already on the road. And so they get millions of miles of updated map data every day. And so they're looking for differences from their existing map. Anything that's changed, for road configuration has changed. So they're getting data about, stationary objects around the road for localization, but also getting data about where people actually drive on the road and aggregating that. So, where in the lane are drivers typically going, or, when they're going around corners, what is the actual trajectory the drivers are taking? And integrating all that into their ADAS control for their path planning, and should make it a lot better, a lot safer, a lot more robust.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good improvements coming. Yep.
And then Amnon Shashua, who's the founder and CEO of Mobileye, announced that he's going to be retiring. He's been CEO of the company since 1999 when he founded it.
Wow.
And he's 66 now, and he's going to be stepping down. The board is doing a search for a successor, and once they identify a successor, he will become the chairman of the board, and somebody else will be taking over Mobileye.
No, good
Take
for him
o-
stepping back.
Take up his true passion, needlepoint.
I don't know. Amnon doesn't strike me as the needlepoint type of person.
You don't
It's a
think?
it's a little problem you got to solve.
Yeah,
It's like takes
could
a
be.
long time.
His-
There's data points, except they're needles.
every year at CES, he does a presentation where he talks about the latest in their technology. It's actually really if you're interested in driver assist systems and automated driving systems, it's always very educational, very interesting to listen to him talk.
Cool.
And then Honda has got some news. They released a teaser image for the new Ridgeline, the next generation Ridgeline. And there it is there,
All right.
if you're watching.
It's
It's coming in 2028. It's still truck-shaped, but like the front end of
Still
it.
truck-shaped.
Yeah, the front end of it looks a lot more like the Passport now.
Oh yeah. I will tell you that my wife got into the Ridgeline and she's like, "Oh, is this an EV?" I'm all, "No." She's like,
It is very it does look like the Passport. I mean, that makes sense. They're going to make things sort of all fall in line with the design aesthetic of the moment for their company.
little more rugged looking. It is going to be a hybrid, so it's going to use their new dual clutch hybrid system, which I had a chance to drive that last fall in Japan when I was in Japan. But that should be coming in 2028. And then finally, I think this is the last one. Yeah, Honda is at least temporarily discontinuing manual transmissions from the Civic Si and the Integra A-Spec.
"Dun dun dun."
They're still trying to get clarification on what the 2027 emissions regulations are in the U.S. Because somebody's been making changes there and they're not quite sure exactly what the rules are. And so they're not sure if the manual transmission Integra and Civic Si actually will pass. So they're just going to stop building manual transmission versions of those two cars now, which is a shame. I had the Integra A-Spec with the 6-speed manual a couple of months ago. Really liked that. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
At the bottom and there's a I don't typically read the comments, but this person is Gordon S is great. Now watch every dealer add an even larger markup to these cars. Yep.
You bet. Extra $5,000.
It's going to happen.
Maybe 10. All right. We got a couple of listener emails. First up, from Tom, one of our Patreon supporters. He wanted to get a little more information on Nicole's car hunt. So we learned last week that you ordered the BMW M340i.
Yes.
And so Tom asks, it would be nice to hear what other vehicles Nicole looked at and how she made her decision, and how, and also how about once a month you pick your favorite vehicle in categories you decide, like best SUV under $50,000, best manufacturer of EVs, etc. We'll consider that for the future. But what else did you shop for when you
I started off
BMW?
looking for an SUV because I just was thinking like two-row SUV. That was just where my brain was, which when I really thought about it, I don't need an SUV. I don't need that much cargo room. I don't have that many people. It's, normally just if we're going out with another couple and that's about it. So then I sort of flipped to sedan. But I started actually looking at a Porsche Macan. But my problem with that was that I want the gas one, not the electric, which you can still get. But the interior of the gas, like all the infotainment and everything of that is kind of dated. Like they've updated the electric version, so it's very modern. They hadn't with the gas version because they weren't going forward with it. So it just I couldn't reconcile the two pieces together. So that was off my list. I looked at an X3. Just again, I was on this like SUV kick, and then I was just like, okay, it's fine. And then I thought, wait a minute, why don't I do a sedan? And when it came to sedans, I actually looked at a Panamera because I love that thing. So that was on my list. And then I looked at the M3 and the M340i, and that was how my process. I wanted it to be something that was more of a performance luxury kind of vehicle. I didn't look at Mercedes at all because Mercedes just doesn't speak to me. I mean, there's no real reason. I just didn't. And I find Audis kind of like, meh. They're just not exciting. They're fine. They're just fine. And I didn't want a fine car. I wanted something that made me feel good driving it. And that's how I landed where I landed. That's
Ta-da.
it. That's the full story.
I had a friend. It's Mike Amusio. He worked at KBB for like 18 years. Or anyway, he was an automotive journalist where I was. We've known each other forever. We were in a punk band when he was in his teens and I was in my early 20s. So he bought a Del Sol, and I'm like, well, what if more than you and the other person want to go? He's like, I don't know. They can drive their own car. And I ended up buying that Del Sol from him later on.
Oh, that's the one you had?
Did you?
Yeah, so I bought Micah's Del Sol. But like that, he's like, well, I don't know, they could just figure it out. And I was like, you're right. I can just buy whatever I want. It's not my job to be everyone's taxi driver.
There you go.
Nice.
Like I have the BRZ, and if like, hey, the 6 people are gonna go, I'm like, well, yeah, but I only got the BRZ today, so I guess I don't know.
Somebody else will have to drive too.
Yeah. We'll figure it
So
out.
that's it. That's how I picked it.
Cool. All right. And then we also got one from Ed. And it says, great show and insight as always. I believe you mentioned that Hyundai and Kias will be going back to more physical controls. I looked at Hyundai's new infotainment system on the new Kona, and it's a Tesla-style system. So I did some digging around because I hadn't seen any announcement from Hyundai of a new Kona yet. And there was a video that popped up about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, that I found on YouTube. And there have been some spy photos of a next generation Kona that were taken in Europe recently. And so, the design of that one looks quite a bit different from the current generation, but there's no interior shots of this. So the guy, whoever it was that created this video, did a bunch of renders, based on these, presumably based on these spy shots. And so these are all AI renders. And I'll include a link to this in the show notes. And there's a render of an interior that has this big, massive screen across the middle of the dashboard. That there's no evidence that Hyundai is actually planning on anything even remotely like this for the
Why
new
would you even
Kona.
write this article? That's my whole thing based on this video. This is just
I don't know.
all right, whatever, man. Do whatever you got.
AI
to do.
slop.
Stuff. Yep.
AI slop. They're like, it's not a real thing, but I made some stuff up, and then you present it as real.
Well, somebody
reality.
else made
As
it
facts.
up and presented it, and then this person wrote an article about the slop that somebody else created.
Yep.
All right, I'm just gonna close this tab. I feel worse off.
I'm just
having
going to
clicked on it.
close this down. I can't look at it anymore.
I feel like I feel dirty. I'm gonna wash my finger.
Yeah. Ed
My clicking
goes
finger.
on. Says, one question on Kia's weird climate control screen that seems to be blocked by the steering wheel and stocks. Is that actually usable when driving? Does it hinder actual functionality like turning on and off the AC, recirculation, and defroster, which is a safety issue? So I think the Telluride.
I was just in the Telluride. It has a screen. There is a little arrow next to the screen between the main screen and the info and the screen that you can't see with all the settings. Like, so you can turn, like, you make it hotter or colder, but you can hit the little arrow and like the thing popped what is it? Controls pop to the main screen.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I don't know if that's brand new. I just found it out. I just tested it yesterday. Yes, yesterday. And it like pops stuff over to the right screen. So I mean, most of the time I just turn it on. I make it hot, I make it cold. I'm mostly doing that, and I'm moving.
Oh yeah, I
vents.
see the arrow. I'm looking at a picture of the interior right now.
Okay.
Yeah, you hit that little arrow and like it pops stuff over to the right. So it's not completely. Yes, you can use it,
but you kind of have
also
to
it's
tilt
you have
your
to
head
like
around.
move your head around.
Yeah.
It's just a weird thing that they did. It makes absolutely no sense. It needs to go away as quickly as possible. The flip side is the lights and some other controls are on the left hand side of the screen on the gravity, and they are on the screen. There's no like buttons, but I can see them because they have that weird like steering wheel that is not. It's not a it's not a yoke. It's got a top to it, so you can still like kind of shuffle steer with it, which. I kept thinking about like whether or not I should talk about shuffle steering with those types of steering wheels because like, dude, does the average person shuffle steer? Or is that just a thing that we learn how to do when we're driving on ice? Does the average person just go while we're all anyway? So it does like move things over. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I went back to driving. So
yeah, so the Telluride and others. They other Kias, they do have manual, like physical controls for temperature and fan speed and mode that are just below the center vents, and the vents, of course, are manual. So
yay.
So it's not a that little bit of screen there. I guess you can make it easier to use, and then you do have physical controls for some of the other primary stuff.
It's still bad. It's still a bad idea. It's whatever.
Yeah.
There's nothing redeeming about the idea of putting the all your climate control. Like all the controls are there. Like you can do all the other stuff, but like the main stuff you need is there's a physical button, which is just make it hot, make it cold.
Yeah. And then for background, I tried to convince my parents not to get the Sportage because of the dual use media and climate controls. So this is a thing that the Kia is moving away from. This is the most annoying thing in our EV6. There's this touch strip below the dashboard that you toggles between climate controls and media controls. And we actually just leave it on climate control all the time and just use the volume control on the steering wheel.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing whenever I had that. When I had the last Kia I had where I had that, I was just like, I'm done. I'm not going to even turn it over to media controls. It's a pain. And I just started using the steering wheel, and then and then if you're using CarPlay or whatever, you can like go forward, go back on your music.
All right. Well, before
you tried,
we go,
Ed. You tried. We salute you.
Yes,
because and I know they're going to they've talked about they're going to change it because everyone complained, which is good, but also we'll see how your parents. I mean, they might do the same thing, just leave it on climate control.
Never change it.
Well, before we go, we do have some sad news to share with you, Nicole.
Yes. So this is my last episode that I will be on. And the reason is not that I have finally gotten tired of Sam and Robbie. I'm not.
Although
tired
we
of
would
them at all.
understand if that was the case.
She's been tired of us for at least 8 months. So
right, at least.
That's...
I've actually retiring altogether. I'm stepping out of automotive. I've resigned from the juries I was on, and my official date in my head is August 1st. So that means no more podcasts for me. No more Sam and Robbie and me. So I will miss everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed doing this. It's so much fun. Sam and Robbie, you've been great. All the listeners and the people that I've come into contact with over the years have been fabulous, and I shall miss you all. But I am going to go and own my own time and do my own thing. Needlepoint, wasn't that what you were saying? With a guy from Mobileye.
You can hang out with the guy from Mobileye.
We have a club. We're going to Needlepoint together. Me and Amnon, we got a thing going on with Needlepoint. Yeah. So this is my last official podcast, and so it's a goodbye, and thanks for all the fish, and you guys will be missed.
Well, when you do get your BMW, if you feel like, popping in to just, share some thoughts about it, you're always welcome to join us.
Maybe I will pop in and chat with you guys. I can stand in for somebody one day. I can do a cameo from inside my car.
Hey.
Well, we will genuinely miss you, Nicole.
And miss you guys
we're
as well.
Miss you.
We will have news for you about who will be stepping into Nicole's seat soon.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
I don't even know who it is.
Everybody. I feel sad.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.